it is time to turn back the clock a little bit on our Celtic chat. I am delighted to say that we are joined this evening by Stiliyan Petrov and Chris Sutton. Lads, you're both very welcome. How are you keeping?
Yeah,
Thank
I'm a
you.
little bit tired. We've been here a long time. We were waiting for Neil Lennon to get logged in. He may be a good manager, but just press the link, Neil. I mean, it's not difficult.
Some of us have got a proper job.
Let's start by talking about Martin O'Neill, lads. It's something we were just chatting about, so it makes sense to bring this straight off the bat. Chris, you can lead us away here. The best manager you've ever played for when it comes to the psychology and getting players ready for games?
I thought Kenny Dalglish was an exceptional manager at Blackburn Rovers, very similar to Martin. But I think I mean, I heard Neil speaking earlier. Celtic are in this position now because of what Martin O'Neill did in the early years. He transformed the club. He understood the club, the values of the club, the people at the club. He got everybody on side. And when you think, I think it was 21 points, the gap the previous season, to turn it round, which he did in such a short space of time, to give the support belief, the players' belief, was such an incredible feat. And I know there's been this criticism about Martin as a coach. Does he do enough coaching? This, that, and the other. But I can honestly say that, and I think I can speak for the other players as well, Neil and Stiliyan, that there wasn't ever once where we crossed the white line and didn't know what our role in the team was. I think Martin had certainly proved himself at Celtic. He did exceptionally well when he first went into management at Wycombe, getting them into the Football League, achieved great things at Leicester City, and was highly, highly sought after down south. I think Leeds United, who were a Premier League club at that stage, wanted Martin to go there. So it was a big deal, Celtic getting him north of the border. But what he did was nothing short of exceptional. And I'll go back and say, it's why Celtic are where they are today, the dominant force in Scotland.
Stiliyan, we might bring you in here because Martin O'Neill obviously had a huge impact on your footballing career, managed you at two clubs, of course. Your Celtic career and how that dovetails with Martin O'Neill is very interesting as well, because you go to Celtic and John Barnes is the manager initially. After a period of time, though, once Martin O'Neill is in there, it does seem that you settle into Celtic life a little bit better once Martin is there.
Yeah, just going back on what the boys said and the praises they paid to him and everything they talked about him as a person, as a manager as well. For me, he's a very special person, not just as a manager, as a human being as well. Because first of all, he gave me opportunity to become something different. He made me a winner. He made me believe that I can achieve, and this is very important for when you're a young player. And I was one of the young players. I mean, when Neil and Chris joined Celtic, they were very experienced players, and I was just a young boy there. So for him to create such an environment for myself, because I was the part of that winning kind of team, and he made me believe that I can go and achieve and be something special, and he made me believe that I can develop in the right way, and give me opportunity to develop in the right way, which he already done with Neil and Leicester, and obviously he done with Chris when he came to Celtic. He made him a winner, because before he came to us, I know he won the league with Blackburn, but with Celtic he became even bigger winner.
Would you go along with that, Chris?
Yeah, the other thing he made Stiliyan do is he made him lose weight, because when Stiliyan arrived at Celtic, he was a chubby little right back, and I mean, Martin had a tremendous eye for a player, and all joking aside, credit to Stiliyan for the way he knuckled down and became the player which he did at Celtic. But Martin saw Stiliyan as a central midfielder and developed him. And if you look at some of the players, Martin had inherited, I should say, at Celtic, the likes of Johan Mjällby, who was a central midfield player at the time. Martin saw him as a centre-back, and what a tremendous servant he was to Celtic as a centre-back, really dependable. It looked like it would be the end for the likes of Lubo Moravcik, who was, such a player. He was a guy I'd never heard of down in England, come Norder, and he was ageing at the time, and you think, watch him train, left foot, right foot, can see a pass, make a pass, score unbelievable goals. You think, what is wrong with this guy? I thought he would be surplus to requirements under Martin, because the issue with him is that he wouldn't run around. But Martin always liked a maverick and saw something in Lubo, which was phenomenal. And Lubo played some great football under Martin. Didier Agat was a £30,000 signing. He was playing centre forward for Hibs, I think it was, and he did such a fantastic job for Martin in a wing-back role at times. Played up against Ronaldinho and never gave him a kick at another one of the great memorable nights at Celtic Park. So Martin had an amazing talent for seeing players in a different way to which other managers did do, and that was one of his great strengths. And he also, I'll say it before Neil does or Stiliyan does, also he resurrected my career from Chelsea.
We'll come to that in just a moment, but Stiliyan, on the idea of you being a right back, is that true that Martin was the man who transformed you into the midfielder?
Yes, listen, going to a different country, learning the culture. Obviously, when I joined Celtic, I wasn't speaking any English, so for me it was very difficult. That was the other important point for me, is to learn the language and make sure that I integrate into the team, because everybody knew was talking about, today's players, modern players, about how you need to treat them. But for me, it's about getting into the environment, getting into the team, to the atmosphere of the dressing room. That was very important for me. But the other point is, being a right back, it wasn't my best position. So I was really struggling. I was overweight. I wasn't speaking the language. So for me, it was very difficult. And Martin was very straightforward with me. He said to me one thing, that I have to lose weight and you give me a chance. And that was enough for me. But the other thing is not just we paying so much compliments about Martin O'Neill, but he managed to bring a lot of leadership into the team. Talking about Neil and Chris at the moment, because they're on the call, he brought great leaders into the team with the growth mind. They wanted to come to the team. They wanted to be part of a winning team, and they showed me how to do it. I mean, training with them every single day, playing the games. They wanted to be winners. They want to be achievers, and they wanted to drag everybody in the right direction. And when you have players like them around you, it's very easier. And for me, I only had to learn. I had to work hard, and the opportunity came, and that was really important for me.
How intimidating was it to be in that Celtic dressing room at the start, Stiliyan, and not having much English?
Very intimidating. I mean, I had some tactical conversation with John Barnes, and when you obviously, I understand the football language, but going to a club like Celtic, the pressure from the manager, from the players, from the dressing room, from the fans. As a club, the DNA of the club is about winning, and I wasn't comfortable with that, because first of all, I was playing as a right back. I was overweight. I wasn't comfortable with that position, but nobody really asked me. And even if they asked me, I couldn't answer. So for me, it was a huge issue, and I could see I was getting away from the dressing room. I was getting away from my teammates, and that was a big concern for me.
Neil, it sometimes seems to me that Celtic dressing room, given the amount of characters in there, it's such an amazingly talented squad, but the characters in there are exceptional as well, that half of Martin O'Neill's job was knowing when to let people off the leash and let those characters express themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there was about 6 or 7 of us who were all around the same age. Myself, Chris, Johan, Henrik, Paul Lambert, Alan Thompson. And we were really sort of driven, and training was, when we did train, it was quite intense, and we got the best out of each other. We got after each other. But then when we played, he would sort of, motivate you to go out and try and obliterate teams. And, in Europe, especially at Celtic Park, we were, really, really difficult team to play against, really difficult team to beat. And it gave the club that gravitas it hadn't had for a long, long time. And it also gave the supporters a huge amount of pride. It was such a strong dressing room. You could have had 6 or 7 quite comfortably as captain. And that proved to be the case over the 4 or 5 years he was in charge at Celtic. Various players were captain of the club: Tom Boyd, Paul Lambert, Jackie Mack, Henrik, Johan would come in at times. So yeah, really strong, fun dressing room, but we asked big expectations of each other every day.
Yeah, like how does that dressing room, Chris, compare to the other dressing rooms you were around that era in the 90s and into the 2000s in terms of those big names and characters? Like, it's not going to be boring with all those people around the Celtic dressing room.
Certainly wasn't boring. I would have to say, probably on behalf of Stiliyan as well, that I think we would have preferred the new mellow Neil Lennon, because as a player, he never shut up. I mean, really, he used to whip balls in around my neck height and then shout at me if it bounced off and the opposition got on the ball. He'd say, "Get hold of it," and I'd say, "Any chance of giving me a decent ball?" And that's what the way it was. But we had a lot of really good characters, and that was important in terms of driving us on and the success which we had.
Yeah, that's one of the key things here. Like, gelling a dressing room is such a nebulous phrase. It's hard to sometimes pin down how to do it. Like, when you walk into that dressing room, Chris, are you like, I can have the crack with these fellas, I can be mates with that guy, and it was just a very easy thing? It strikes me that nothing was really forced in your relationships with those players.
Well, I was really a popular character in the dressing room and used to run the dressing room, so it was never really an issue for me going in the morning. I know a lot of the other lads used to get nervous, but not for me.
Stiliyan, we heard from Neil earlier on talking about how Martin O'Neill has changed through the years, and he was in his pomp at Leicester and at Celtic. Did you feel he was in his pomp at Aston Villa as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I had cap opportunity to go to different clubs at that time, and I only had 2 minutes with him to just talk to me about what he wants to achieve with Aston Villa, the project of Aston Villa, and there was not much to talk about. I've said yes, and I moved on. He was very determined to achieve with Villa. He wanted to be back in England. He wants to be somebody that people talk about, to have a team that compete, and he managed to do that. I mean, obviously going down to England, I found it really difficult at the start as well. And to be honest, one day he told me he left me out for 3 months, and he told me he's gonna loan me to a lower division club, and I was like, you won't be able to do that. I'm going to play with you. So, it's about him saying, I do believe you, but you're struggling at the moment. If you show me that you can play, you will play in my team, and you're going to fight with everybody else like I want you to do, like you've done it for Celtic. And that was enough for me. And he knew that I was a competitor. He knew that he has to challenge me to become better. And he knew his players. He knew Neil, he knew Chris, he knew every single one at Celtic and at Aston Villa. If you look at it, at Celtic, he built up his own team with the great characters, strong characters, winners, and he managed to do that with Aston Villa as well. So he does know how to create a winning team, and I wanted to be part of it, and that's why I had an incredible 6 years with him at Villa.
That period where he has you out of the team for a while and tells you he's going to get you to a lower division club is an interesting one. It seems that this was a mechanic used by Martin O'Neill quite a bit. Like the Nigel Reo-Coker situation at Aston Villa is probably the most high profile, the real bust up between the two. I guess that's what happens when you have a manager who is able to psychologically motivate players so well. You're going to rub players up the wrong way sometimes too.
Yeah, of course. And we've seen a lot of players not being happy with him and how he managed, but he's that kind of man. He's about Saturday. He's about winning. He's about achieving, and some players can't deal with it. And it's not a big issue. It's just some players can deal with the pressure. Neil will tell you about Leicester and obviously less Celtic. I can talk about going to Villa and especially with Nigel. Nigel was very good player, but he was challenged all the time, and he had a very big competition there. And sometimes you have to be up to the task, and sometimes he wasn't. And Martin expect you to play. Martin expect you to win, and if you don't do on Saturday, then you have to wait for longer, because most of his teams are winning for a long period of time.
Were you there today? They had the clash, Rio Coker and O'Neill.
Oh, it's hilarious. I think Martin, I think Gaffer beat him up. We still talk about it. But no, it was really funny. It was really funny, getting their fist off and fighting. But this is part of the winning mentality and winning team. It happens all the time. And after
Stiliyan, sorry to interrupt. For people who've missed this story, because it's from 2009, Martin O'Neill banishing Nigel Rio Coker. What actually happened on the ground that day?
It's just two guys with a very strong opinion. They had a disagreement on the pitch. They both squared to each other, and I think Gaffer slapped him. Nigel kind of went for it as well. And you know what? The funny thing is about Martin is a very honest man, and I think he expected the apology. He didn't get the apology, and he just left him out of the team for a while. And Nigel Rio-Coker understood that. He managed to fight his way back. He played after that as well. It was about communication and the conversation, and they managed to straighten things up. And after that, everything was good. But at that time, it's two very competitive guys, and you see it all the time in the winning teams. And we had it so many times at Celtic, and I had a Villa, and it was great to see. And you know what is a lot of the media make a lot of things about it. I think us as a players, as people that want to achieve, I think we love that because we know that people want to win and they want to be part of the winning team. And it's something interesting that not many people understand.
Neil, we'll put that one to you. You can pull back the curtain on Celtic. Was there ever any bit of aggro between players during that era? Because tempers flare on the pitch all the time. I'm sure it happened in training too.
Yeah, I had a few run-ins with him. I had a run-in with him at Celtic, and he didn't speak to me for a month after it.
What happened?
I used an expletive during a game at him, and he hauled me off at half-time. But he kept picking me. But he didn't speak to me for a month.
This is the thing, Stiliyan. I mean, a few slaps in training here or there, no issue on that front, clearly, as it was in the Aston Villa dressing room. But don't throw an expletive at Martin O'Neill's face or anything like that, because he's going to take you off at half-time. What were the sort of things that you witnessed on that Celtic training ground?
Well, I only had a very interesting story with an incident with Martin. Obviously, one of the games, I was a captain of the team, and we were losing 1-0. So I ran down after 62 minutes. I ran down and I said, "Gaffer, it's not working. We're not having enough width. We need to use some wide players. Can we change a couple of things?" And then we end up winning the game. And after the game, he didn't say anything. He was like, "Oh, great boys, great win."
Is it true that at one point before Martin O'Neill, because we have got into the John Barnes era with you, Stiliyan, during that era, it was quite difficult for you, because was there a point where you decided to leave before Martin O'Neill, or does that actually happen after Martin O'Neill gets there? Because clearly you speak with such admiration for the man.
Obviously, that pre-season before Martin O'Neill took over, I was obviously I wasn't playing. I was playing as a right back. I wasn't playing very well, so I had a interest from a few German teams. So I was thinking to make the move or not to make the move. It wasn't working for me. What should I do? And you know what? Sometimes the timing is everything. I didn't make the move. I managed to stay for the pre-season. And the man gave me the opportunity, and I took that opportunity. And I'm really, really glad that I've took the opportunity, because I've learned so much. I've managed to be part of an incredible team. I've played with some great teammates, world-class players, and we've achieved so much as a team. And we had a special bond together, which is make it even more special.
Because we have a text in for you tonight, Stiliyan, from Kevin McGuigan in Tyrone. He says, "Ask Stan, does he do any shifts in the chip van this weather? He learned the English language doing this while in Glasgow." Is that true?
Yeah, he was. It's a very funny story, guys, and I'm really proud of it. A lot of people laugh about it, but I had to find my own ways to learn the language. I wanted to be part of that team. I wanted to. When I went there, I had a very special man, and he's a Mr. Celtic. He's Tommy Burns. You guys remember him. He's You get me every day before training, after training, and you talk to me about how special the club is, what is the DNA of the club, what's the Old Firm Derby means for everyone, how I can develop as a player, and that give me that burst to say I want to be part of this club. I want to be part of this club for a long, long time, and I had to do it in a different way. It was interesting. It was very exciting for me. It was very different, but I had to do it, guys, because I wanted to be part of that team, and I had to learn the language very quickly. Obviously, my friend, he had a burger van, so for me, I had to learn different basics. How to make an order in a restaurant. People talking about different things. Is may I order this? May I do this? The change, how to explain it. So for me, it was a different way of learning, but I've managed to do it, and I'm really proud of it.
And is anybody coming up to the burger van and realising that Stiliyan Petrov, the new Celtic boy, is serving them food? No.
Don't say that. But you know what? It's a great example for young kids and young players that nothing is impossible. You can always find a way, and you go through struggles, and you just have to find your own way.
We want to talk a little bit about Henrik Larsson, Stiliyan, because this is the teammate that is held up as one of the more talented of what is a really talented squad during that era. Henrik Larsson, does he go down as the best teammate you've ever had personally in terms of pure talent?
The best player I've played with. I mean, he was a complete player. He knew everything about the way he wants to play to score goals. He scored goal for us from games that we didn't expect to win. He'll pop up with something special, but a lot of people don't realize how hard he worked to become a player he was. And for me to play with him and against him, it was very painful time to play against him. Every time I play against him, he scored against me. So I'm not very happy. But playing with him, he understood everyone. He knew when to open a space for me. Obviously, I was playing behind Chris, Henrik, and John. So he was brilliant, and I've learned so much from him about my timing my runs, when I had to make the run, when to play 1-2, when to get into the box, and he'll talk to you, he'll guide you. But his work rate as well, so that's why I'll pick him as one of the best, and he was a complete player.
Because that's a really interesting element of all of this, that we can get Chris's take in a little while about his chemistry with Henrik Larsson, but as a midfielder, your chemistry with your forwards is as important as anything else. Did it become telepathic between yourself and Henrik at any point, or was it just his talent that made him such an easy player to play with when he's in front of you?
Yeah, he just made it easy for every single player that he played with up front. Don't forget that Big Johnny and Sutty are quite injured all the time, so I had to play most of the time up front with Henrik. Don't tell that to Sutty if he does. But no, when you play with Henrik, he makes it easier for you. He makes sure that every single run is to create space for you. When you try to link up with you, he's always in a great position. His body shape is in the right way, and he's all ready to make it easier for you, which for us was a pleasure to play with. And you don't see many players like Henrik. A lot of people question him regarding can he play in the bigger leagues? Can you do in a different? He went to Barcelona. He was incredible. He went to Man United. He was outstanding. So he just showed that class is there, and he always had it, and he managed to show it to the world.
One thing that strikes me whenever we speak to somebody who's formerly played with Celtic is how they speak about their peers and how they speak about their former teammates, and they speak about them with such love, Stiliyan. I mean, I do think that your Celtic team is incredibly special. Whenever we speak to people like yourself, that there was a serious bond there between the likes of yourself and Chris and Neil, and of course with Henrik and that entire squad at that time. Does it feel that way as a player, that when you look back, you think to yourself, God, that was an amazing chemistry, an amazing bond we all had in that dressing room?
It's not special. I think it's very unique. I
Right.
think we have a very unique bond between each other. We love coming to training. We love playing. We loved being on spotlights. We wanted to be winners, and it's something that not many teams can do that. And it's very interesting for you to say that. And we still keep in touch till today. We talk about things all the time. We talk about the good times because we did have incredible time together and we achieved so much as a team.
Does that maintain then later into your life when things start to get tough for you in your own personal life and with your own health, that your former teammates are there for you? You say that you've kept in touch with one another. That doesn't always happen with teammates. Quite often you leave the club, you go to Aston Villa, you fall out of touch. Is that something that gave you comfort at the time, that you were still mates with these guys, that you kept in touch, that bond that existed at Celtic Park existed beyond your years playing for the club?
Yeah, and it's a very interesting point from you saying that we kept in touch after our playing careers because most of a lot every one of us don't play anymore, and we managed to keep in contact, we managed to speak, we managed to share together and to support each other because a few of the boys have already been in managerial jobs. They've done a great job. Like Neil is doing an incredible job, and to be able to speak to him, to share with him, and to still be in contact, it's very good. Same with Henrik. When he went through his two spells in Sweden, and he had a tough time. We all try to give him as much support as we can.
We might just go back to those post years of Celtic then, and I guess coming back to Celtic Park in 2013, you get an incredible reception that day. It is 2013 if memory serves me correctly. Could you try and sum up that day, that you get that incredible ovation from your former supporters? Is there a realization at this point that your connection with the club probably will never be lost?
It was very emotional. It was very emotional for me because I went through a very cruel treatment for 3 years. That was the first time that I faced people. I had to keep away from everyone, guys. I had to be in a total isolation, which for me was very difficult. I wasn't looking myself as well. So when Celtic approached me regarding to do the game, I was very skeptic about it. I didn't know to take it or not because for me it was very difficult. I was probably 45 kilos over the weight I was playing. I didn't look like myself at all. People haven't seen me for a long time, so I didn't know what to expect. It was very nervous for me, but I'll tell you what, when I step out on a pitch, when I saw 60,000, I said to myself, I won't cry, I'll be strong, but I couldn't hold. So it was very emotional. It was great for the family because my family went through a lot. You know, they had to put their life to save my life. They had to sacrifice so much for 3 years just to make sure I was okay. So for them to get out there and to be given such a support, it was great to see, and I was very very honored, guys, that I've played for such a special and incredible club.
Was that tough for you during that period, having to see the sacrifices that your family had to make? Because that is something that we probably don't appreciate on the outside, that we see this as a one-man crusade in his battle to get healthy again. But what actually is there is a whole family, a whole network of people around him. And I'm sure you're paying attention to that as well, and how that affects the people close to you in your life.
Yeah, and don't forget, I was been on a spotlight since I was started playing. My family always been around me. I've been the main man in the family. Everybody was about what dad will do, my playing career, and all of a sudden, guys, I was hopeless. I couldn't do anything. I had to be in the hospital all the time, but I still had to put that brave mask, as a good competitor, as always. I wanted to be the strong man. I had to put that fake mask and show them that I'm still the dad, I'm still the husband, I'm still the man who looks after the family. So for me, it was very difficult. So in that moment, I realized, you know what, my family will have a great appreciation. Now they will see that I'm still back, I'm still there, and I can still put my boots and play 11-a-side football because I wasn't able to do a 20 minutes run because I was that weak. So for me, it was a special moment.
Let's talk about that very briefly, about that day in Parkhead where Stiliyan Petrov returns. I'd just love to get your own memories of that, Neil, of being there that day in 2013.
No, it was incredibly emotional for us as a group of players and for us as individuals, because you're thinking there, for the grace of God, go. I remember myself and Roddy McDonald, and he was the club doctor at the time, going down and seeing Stiliyan in the London hospital. And obviously we were, heartbroken and very concerned about him. But you can see the outcome of what a strong person he is. He was playing at the Emirates on a Saturday, and 5-6 days later he's diagnosed with this, horrible illness. And he's come through it with flying colours. We're very proud of him. It's brilliant to see him looking so well. And then, at the end, when he was walking around the pitch with Paulina, his wife, and the kids, it really got to me. It had the biggest lump in my throat, and it was very, very emotional for myself personally, and for all us guys who were so close together. You talk about a special bond. We have a very, very special bond. Yeah, it is quite unique. And these guys, I speak to Chris on a regular basis, see Stan now and again. Still in touch with the likes of Jackie, Henrik, Johan. He was my assistant here. So yeah, it's a great group of players, but also a great group of men.
That's the thing. It's when your backs are against the wall. That's probably when you start to see the real characters and all that, and what those men are actually made of.
Yeah, I mean, a few of the boys, have had real traumatic experiences over the last 10, 15 years. John Hodgson had a huge battle with cancer and again came through it. And he has raised so much money for cancer charities. And, again, I'm very proud of what he's done, John. He's a magnificent, character, great lad, great player, but, a joy to be around. And then Jackie McNamara had a real unfortunate, incident last year where he had an aneurysm, and he's come through it out the other side. Just so grateful to see them all, back to full health. And it hurts you, because we're friends, and we've been friends for more than 20 odd years. And when we get together, it's like we've never been away. It's almost like we saw each other yesterday, or we were training, 2 days ago. When we get together again, we just pick up where we left off.
Yeah, I can imagine. I should say this is OTB Sports UEFA Champions League final preview in association with Pepsi Max and Doritos. It's back. Get ready. #UCL is back. Your comments have been flooding in over the last little while. There's one here for you, Neil. Ask Neil, does he still follow the GEA scene at home?
Yeah, of course I do, yeah. The game has evolved, over the last 15, 20 years. It's very much more a possession-based game, very tactical now. Dublin obviously are, the front runners and have been for the last sort of 6, 7 years, a dominant team in the country. My own county, Armagh, we had an unbelievable spell at the turn of the millennium, but haven't quite reached the heights again. And I always follow, how they're getting on, whether it be in the National League or in the county championships. And I hope to see them one day back at Croke Park challenging for the Sam.
I'm sure it'll happen sooner rather than later. And then there's a question here for the whole panel. The boys from Seville, UEFA Cup run in 2003, is my all-time favourite memory, watching the matches on the TV in my Alan Thompson jersey. So my wisdom for you guys is, what is your favourite memory/match from that season's UEFA Cup? This is from Paddy Kelly in Clonmel. We'll put that one to you, Neil, first off.
There's so many highlights. Beating Liverpool at Anfield was incredible, but the final whistle at Boa Vista, where, for the first time in the competition, we were actually favourites to beat Boa Vista. Any other round, we were the underdog. And to know we were going to the European final with Celtic was incredible. So coming back through the airport in Porto were flying back from Rome. All their fans were at the stadium. There was thousands of Celtic fans, at the airport. There was thousands of Celtic fans at the airport. And the atmosphere walking through the airport terminal was just incredible. I could have walked on air that night. So for the next 2 or 3 days, it was just a brilliant feeling of, so much to look forward to. And then we played the Rangers on the Sunday, and we beat them as well in an infamous game where, everybody bought beach balls and inflatables and blow up crocodiles and deck chairs. And those 3 or 4 days were just some of the best of my life.
Stiliyan, could I ask you about that final, that UEFA Cup final against Porto that year? Because it's got so many stories told about it, not least what happens with Jose Mourinho at half-time and some of the trouble that Jose was causing on the night. What do you remember from that evening yourself?
I remember we didn't win it. That was the heartbreak thing, guys, and it was incredible journey for us. And before I jump into the final, I wanted to mention as well. Lenny said the Boa Vista game. I wanted to say that my favorite one was the Blackburn, the second game, when they were talking about men's versus boys, and what I saw in Neil and Chris and Alan Thompson and Johnny Hartson. Obviously, they've played in England, and they wanted to show that we're not boys. And the intensity of the training, and that the week before the game, it was incredible. I've never seen something like that. I felt that anybody who come against us will beat. And this is something that in special in that team is about the competitiveness. It's about people can't doubt you, because we had so many special players that they were ready to perform. They were ready to go and fight. And this was the game that I would say was very important. But going back to the final, it was a great memory. The only downfall is we couldn't win it. And we done everything we can. We've played against a very, very strong team. And we done proud of us. We were very proud of ourselves. The only downfall was not winning it. And that's something that we still talk about. We regret, but it's part of our life. But we managed to be there. We managed to take so many fans with us, and we created a very memorable day for everyone.
Chris Sutton, you're back.
Yes, I am. Yeah, sorry about that. Just a technical hitch. I live in Alan Partridge country. That's the issue.
You joined us at the delightful memory of the 2003 UEFA Cup final. You'll be delighted to hear. Talk to us about your memories of that night and I guess the half-time scenes in particular.
We're talking about the final, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, not the early round of my brilliant goal against Blackburn.
Well, we can get to that in a moment. We're tight on time. So for some reason, the texter didn't actually ask about that goal.
Okay, no. The final. I mean, I don't know what I've said. I think we've spoken about it many times. I think from a playing point of view, you have to say you get to a major final, and the run was brilliant, and the support in Seville was fantastic. Going to the stadium, wonderful memories. That sea of green and white scarves and flags, all brilliant. But you get to a major final, you want to win the final, and unfortunately we didn't do that. I think that in fairness, I think Porto were a good team, but they got up to some unsavoury antics which have never really sat right, I think, certainly with the Celtic support and us players on that particular day. But as I say, you get there, you want to win the final, and for us, we came up short in that respect.
Chris, one last text to put to you before we wrap up this section of the conversation. Is it true that Bobo Balde was the guy you simply do not cross in the dressing room?
Well, I think myself, and I can put Stiliyan in that boat as well, because I saved Stiliyan's life, and Stiliyan will tell you that, because Stiliyan's a lovely bloke, and we all know that. But he was actually similar to Neil in that he could be quite chippy, and Bobo had Stiliyan by the neck one day, and I was sat next to Alan Thompson, and we're both looking at each other, thinking, "What do we do here?" And I got up bravely and tried to shove Bobo. Bobo didn't move. Turned around, picked me up, and threw me into the locker. And Alan Thompson was carrying inside the locker, and the door broke. But that's what I did for you, Stiliyan, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You actually saved my life. Thank you, Chris.
Why did he have you by the neck, Stiliyan?
It was Lenny's fault. Lenny's fault. No, guys, listen, we were very demanding from each other, and we didn't shy to, Lenny was talking about the hair dryer before, and we expected people to challenge us. We expected to challenge each other. We were very honest to each other when somebody's underperforming, and I just thought that Bob was underperforming. I had a few lines. He was keep telling me to shut up. I was keep going back. Then Lenny walked in. He had a go at Bobo. Then Bobo went for me. So it was he escalated very quickly. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was scared. I was reaching for a scissors. I was gonna stab him if he would hold me any longer. But in the fairness, he let me he let me off. We had a couple arguments with Bobo, but you know what? We are great friends, and that will make us successful because we wanted to go and win, and we wasn't shy to tell each other the truth in the dressing room, and it was something special. And Chris did try to save my life, but he was hiding in the locker before he actually come out of it, and Bobo put him back in it. So it was very exciting. It was very great story for us to tell after all this year. And Bobo is a great lad. But I tell you what, guys, don't mess up with Bobo.